Modern supermarkets have it all until they don't. Fruit and veg aisles are increasingly bare, and it may get worse before it gets better.
Grocers are permanently closing.
But it shut its doors last month for fresh produce and meats in this part of town.
Warnings of more shortages to come.
I think, like everything else, we'll just go with the flow and see what happens.
Run it. Alright, humor me for a minute here. It's the perfect summer evening. You're at a friend's barbecue. You got yourself a burger, maybe a hot dog, some watermelon, and you're just talking, laughing, having a good time with some friends. How likely is it that you're going to notice a couple mosquitoes? Like maybe, but odds are you'll wave one away and won't notice until the next day when you got a couple bug bites, right? Now let's say more and more show up over the next few hours. Will you notice? Yeah, but it won't be until you're completely swarmed by them that you would consider leaving the party, right? If they swarmed right away, all at once, then yeah, likelihood that you're going to go, we'll try another day. But if it's just little by little, it becomes more of a nuisance than anything, and you're more willing to deal with it than you are to leave the party. That is exactly what is happening to us right now, and it's strategic. You've heard the old saying that if you throw a frog in boiling water, it'll jump out, versus if you slowly turn up the temperature, it won't notice it until it's too late. Most people, I would say, wouldn't even bat an eye if prices go up, let's say 25 cents over a 6-month period, or when they charge a certain amount for like a 50-pound bag of dog food, and a little bit later, it's the same price, but it's 47.5 pounds versus that 50 pounds. I feel like most people won't even give it two thoughts if they're not thinking about everything and questioning the current state of things, if you will. AKA the frog noticing that it's getting a little bit warmer, but not enough to do anything about it. Let's not forget that the Great Depression happened as a slow, ominous wave that took, like 2 years to completely decimate the country, and red flags were ignored, just like what's happening now for a lot of people. It's happening in slow motion to one degree or another, but let's be very clear, it's in motion. And then I would say even those people that aren't necessarily in the prepper or even homesteader culture, if you will, that are noticing a little bit of changes in prices just with inflation and all that, don't really do anything about it. It's more of a complaining to their friends and family as small talk more than anything, and have some kind of belief that things will get better. And I mean, I guess maybe they will, right? Who knows? But I feel like if you're watching this video, you're one of those people that are seeing the corruption that are all around us, and you're questioning things, and you're starting to kind of put together the idea of nobody's coming to save me. I'm going to save myself and start creating a prepper pantry, if you will. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed a lot of grocery stores are kind of having a little bit of an inventory problem where it's enough that I'm noticing it, but probably not enough the average Joe's going to notice it. Nothing where it's going to trigger panic in people like the shortage of toilet paper that we saw a few years back. And what they're starting to do is use those electronic covers in front of the glass doors, and they look fancy and they kind of have a cool look to them, if you will, a little futuristic, but guess what? You can't see what's behind it, and it's for a reason. You can't see the low inventory. Another thing, and this might be confirmation bias to some degree, you tell me if you're noticing the same thing, but I feel like the quality of fresh produce has gone down and declined so dramatically lately, where you'll buy something, bring it home, and it just goes bad so quick. I feel like produce used to last a little bit. Right? Now, again, I could be wrong. That could just be my own problem here, but I feel like that's something that I'm noticing more and more too on my end. Now, I digress. Now, I have a family member that I care about dearly, and I would say they're on the other side of my belief system, if you will, when it comes to prepping and homesteading, even politics and religion, if you will. I think you get the gist of what I'm saying here, but I try to do my best to plant seeds in this person's head of building some kind of food inventory of food and water, and even on a small scale, if nothing else. And it always is so surprising to me how distant this idea seems to be to them. You know, whenever I bring it up, it's almost like they're looking at me like, "You're crazy! You're crazy! Get out!" I'm sure you've gone through something similar if you're listening to this video. You know, whether it's friends or families or coworkers, whoever. You know, and I've noticed this over the last few years that a lot of people just live in a state of ignorance is bliss, and whether they're doing it directly or indirectly, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't jealous of that mindset. And I say that jokingly, obviously. I'm very grateful to be aware of the things I do. I feel like it's a blessing to see the corruption that we have all around us and be able to be one of those people that are taking initiative and doing something about it, right? But more just from a sense of it'd be a lot less stressful, right? I mean, temporarily. But to be clear, just because people don't want to hear this stuff and aren't doing it doesn't make them bad people or anything like that. Most people are just so immersed in their day-to-day lives that going to work, dealing with their boss, going on dates, making dinner, it's all very overwhelming to them. They already have enough on their plate that if they hear any more about the corruption and the levels that it is, would be the hay that broke the camel's back. Am I saying that right?
What?
Maybe I'm mixing up the needle in a haystack, but you get what I'm saying there, right? It's just too much for them. And honestly, it's too much for me at times, where you'll feel like you're doing the right thing. You'll get away from a certain food or, product of one degree or another. Then you find out a little bit later that that one's also corrupted. And you're just like, can we not eat or drink anything that's actually healthy nowadays? Can I not look at a certain person and see that they're a good person versus finding out that they're actually corrupt? It can be overwhelming for everybody. So to some degree, I understand where they're coming from, right? But again, I see it as a badge of honor, or maybe even a calling, that you have the awareness that you do and you're doing something about it nowadays. So I think if you're in a similar position, you agree with what I'm saying here, just kind of see it the same way as it's your job to plant seeds, and a lot of people won't listen to you, but I would rather die knowing that I tried than to keep it to myself and just kind of criticize the rest and think I'm special because of it. I think it's your job and it's your duty to educate people and let them know what we know and hope that they make the right steps to do the same things as we are. And one of the coolest parts about doing that is when you have somebody that actually starts to listen. It's kind of exciting when a friend or a coworker pulls you aside and shows me something that I already knew about, but they can't believe it for their eyes, and they're showing me, and they're asking if I knew about it, right? I had a buddy of mine send me this the other day and was just kind of rolling his eyes at Bill Gates and going, can you believe this corruption? And it's kind of like I said, it's like a kid saying a word for the first time, where you're like, there you go, you're on the right track, let's keep it going. And I want to just flood them with all this information, but I don't want to overwhelm them either. Anyways, I'm getting a little off track, but I just think about it all the time, where maybe we're wrong. Maybe all this is going to be okay and we're preparing for nothing, right? But that would be best case scenario. We have all this prepper material and water and food and everything's fine and we just have inventory. Perfect. I hope that's what happens. I don't believe that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to get a lot crazier and a lot scarier, and I would rather be one of the people that are prepared so I can help my family, my close friends, and hopefully those that need it most. And I'm going to continue on that journey until something changes, right? So if you listen this far, thank you for listening to me ramble and just talk. Sometimes I just need to get this information out of me. So with that being said, check out this video where I talk about the coming power grid collapse in the near future and what we can do to prepare for it.